I'm going to ask you first off, I want to know what you pitched, because this is a case where it was it Focus that called you in and said we want you to pitch?
No,
on
it was
this?
Working Title and Blueprint Pictures. It was Working Title initially. Yeah.
All right. So you immersed yourself and figured out some angle to give them, some kind of hook.
Yeah.
And I want to know what it was, what you said.
I had about a month to prepare, because I was also working on other projects at the time. So I went into a deep research vibe, which is, I love, I'm very an obsessive researcher, and that is, human stories, that's fashion history, that's design history, that's medical history. But I did a lot of research on the 19th century and then the 18th century leading up to it that brought sort of, us to Emma, to the early 19th century. But so having done a lot of pitches in my life as a commercial director, I didn't want to do a digital pitch. So I sent a package of images of prints to them to open up and spread out on the table. So I actually pitched via Skype, and I had a set and they had a set, and it had all of my kind of ideas. And I think what it did is it gave a bird's eye view. You could imagine the film, I think, because you could sort of see it from above, right? Like flying into England or something. And I pitched what I pitched was a screwball comedy, because I feel that Jane Austen is very funny, besides being a genius at romance and repressed emotions. She was a very funny writer, and so yeah, so that was my pitch, and Anya was part of my pitch. The cast was part of my pitch.
So I hate to put Anya in this awkward position, but I am curious to know why you thought she was the one who could take this character, Emma, and do something different with it.
Okay, well, I'll say it's Anya because I like to be the protector of the pronouncing of her name, even though she's very nice about it.
And may I wade in very quickly before we move on? So yeah. Autumn's like, I sent some images. She sent the most beautifully curated box you have ever seen. And if you were like, when she was casting the rest of the cast, that was the conversation. It was like, have you seen the box? Because if you've seen the box, then you're part of the movie. Like, that's how it's happening. Like, it wasn't a set of images. It was the most beautiful chocolate box of anyway. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, when I met Josh O'Connor for the first time to discuss him playing Mr. Elton, the casting director and the producer were peeking through the little porthole of the door, and they're like, "She brought out the box. She loves him."
You certainly spared no expense.
I was very fixated on the idea that it had been difficult to make, it has been for many, since the beginning of Hollywood, difficult to make a female anti-hero film. Not that they've never been made, but it is a big uphill challenge, and that was a very important part of my pitch. And they were in agreement with me, which was also a sign of the times. And I felt that, one, Anya's performance in The Witch, spoiler alert, you should have seen it if you haven't. So, but I think like it was so incredible that she was able to be both the victim and the villain in the same film, and to play with people's trust, the audience. That wasn't someone like choosing a side. Right? That's an actor who can completely believe that all of that is possible within her, right? And then in Thoroughbreds, again, the movie, you think she's the victim, and then she's sorry, you should have seen it, and then you see this dark side of her that was not, so in a way, Emma was like the flip of those two, and I thought, well, if she did it that direction, she could do it the other direction, because I think, it was very important for Emma's character to remind you of all the bullies that you've been obsessed with in your life. And what I love about Emma, the book, is that I think everyone thinks they're the victim, thinks they're Harriet. And if you really look inside, and if the performance is as good as Anya did it, then you realize that at times you are like Emma. And I think that's her human approach to human blindness, to her human approach to impulsive desires, dark desires. I think, she's a great actor.
So Anya, you met in a hotel or something in New York, and there was some 5-hour session. What did you learn about Autumn that made you want to? Yes, I think it came out soon.
Well, we met, and the sparks. It's the best first date I've ever had. I will continue to say that. Like, I don't think there's a topping of the first date for me. It was just.
The restaurant closed around us.
Yeah, we were just like, oh, you want us to leave? But why?
He cannot stay away forever. The curate cannot give the sermon forever. No one preaches as Mr. Elgin does. Hear this extract, Miss Woodhouse. Hear this.
Enough about Mr. Elton. I fell in love with Autumn as a person, and then I fell in love with her vision for the film. And I think the most important thing, because I hadn't really had a lot of time to think about, I'd landed in New York, and then I was told that a director was flying out to meet me the next day, and they wanted me to play Emma. And I was like, okay, yeah,
and
sure.
I left the same day they told me that I got the film.
It was like, we were both just like, it really was a first date. And I think the only thought that I had prior was, may I play her the way that Austen wrote her? Because that is the most interesting way. It's such a fabulous book. And I really want the permission to make her mean when she is mean. Yeah. And Autumn's eyes were just like, that is all I want. That is, I just want to tell the story the way that Austen wrote it, because it is funny. And Emma is unlikable at times. And there's such a emphasis on being likable. You have to like the characters, and it's like, no, you don't, not all the time. And it's not interesting that way. It's, unlikable men are seen as hard to understand and difficult to read, and unlikable women are just seen as like bitchy or hysterical. And it's a carbon copy that's not interesting anymore. And both Autumn and I were interested in making something that felt truthful and fresh and fun, because it's fun to watch Emma behave badly at times. It's fun to watch her pick out the cakes. It's fun to watch her.
It is the first mystery novel. Agatha Christie based her style of writing on Emma, which is the clues are hidden in plain sight. You don't see them until you find out the secrets. You go back, and they were there the whole time, right in front of you. And I think we all enjoy watching someone train wreck themselves and then get out of it,
but you're still rooting for her.
Yeah, because I
rooting
think
for her to see her own flaws and to see the error of her ways.
And you don't root for her unless she really truly fucks up. And I think and so if you've been sort of playing at it like, oh, she didn't mean it, or it's just a cute thing, it's just fun to see a young woman who's like has. It's also the anatomy of a liar, like we all have the ability to lie, deceive for self-interest, it's in all of us. And seeing someone go through that, fully committed to it, and then blow it and then regret it, that's a fantasy, that's a fantasy that that this person like Emma, once in a while in someone's life, a person like Emma feels bad for what she's done, and I think Jane Austen writes these beautiful fantasy stories where the mansplainer realizes he's mansplaining too much, the best friends realize they've been in love, the jerk, head cheerleader of the town regrets being a jerk,
becomes a really nice person.
Yeah, so
but I also of peace in baskets.
But to Anya's credit, and Johnny Flynn too, we all were committed to make sure that she also wasn't tamed at the end. It's not that she'll never make a mistake again, you know, and that was really important. And that wedding scene is, sorry if you haven't seen it, but you should have seen it.
Can this be called Autumn de Wilde recommends? Because I love it. It's just like, if you haven't seen it, what have you been doing? Go back.
What's wrong with you? Right. So one of the things that Terrence Malick does on his movies is give his actors a silent moment after the scene. You know,
Yes,
he lets them
does.
shoot. So you do a version of that, I find.
Mother, you must eat it. It's impolite not to eat.
But I think one of the most beautiful things about working with Autumn on this story in particular was the fact that Autumn has been a teenage girl. Autumn understands exactly what it is and where you are coming from. And so the little quiet moments that you get, you know, there's fantasy period dramas, which I love. They're wonderful, but they're not necessarily that focused on the people within the corsets. It's more like, I'm in a corset. Again, love them. Just wasn't.
I'm
the
totally
movie that we
addicted
were
to that
making.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, like
you're
just
trying to
wasn't-
make an action mystery suspense. But it's true though.
Pretty much. But Autumn really allowed us as
Hitchcock Emma.
as the inhabitants of the characters to have moments where it's like, it's just you by yourself, and how do you feel about this particular moment?
Yeah.
And it was quite funny because both Johnny and I independently went up to Autumn. We were like, I think I'm having a panic attack as the character. And she's like, roll. That's amazing. Like, let's get that in. So you have Johnny's version of a panic attack, and then my version of a panic attack. And then Mia has a panic. It's just, we're all hot messes because it's real. That's just the truth of how these people felt. They couldn't be perfect all the time because they're human beings. And Autumn allows you the space to do that.
Yeah,
and she luxuriates in it too.
I thought that if we really defined what the private moments were and we made that clear to the audience, then seeing how they manage with the rules is an exciting process, right? So like I read that Jane Austen had a creak in the floor near her door. She never wanted it fixed because she wanted to know when someone was spying on her. You know, so that means that there's something that she didn't share with the public. Right? Like all of us. And so that was a really important thing to like, what does Mr. Knightley do when no one's watching? What does he do when his servants are watching? You know, they're rarely alone. That's the other thing. Emma is surrounded by people. When she's totally alone, what changes? And I think that that's how you humanize the story rather than modernize it.
So part of what you did as well, coming from your photography and music video background, was that you made this a delectable visual feast, and the costumes are incredible.
Thank you. Well, I thank Alexandra Byrne, man.
Yeah. So Anya, how did you work with the costume designer and with Autumn, and what kind of character bits are built into what you're wearing?
Oh, I had never had an experience like it before. And now I think I'm pretty spoiled. It was really important for Autumn and Alexandra that I, spend as much time in the fitting as possible. And so a lot of those clothes were made on my body with me as a fitting model. Mm-hmm. And that just meant that I got so much access to Alexandra and the amazing research that she had done. Little things that I love is we found a necklace that was modeled after a necklace that Jane Austen herself had that was given to her by her brother. And that became like Emma's necklace. We called it the Death Star. But we built this whole wardrobe for Emma. And it was just so much fun to play with, and the colors, it was dreamy. It was also my first introduction to clothes acting, which I didn't know was a thing. It is so a thing, and it is so much fun.
Man, you are now an expert at it, I have to say.
You.
Like, she did not disappoint.
What does it mean? It means when
I remember.
Wait, you go.
No. All of that. I just remember there was this scene when she first has Harriet over for tea, and every time she leaned down, her necklace would pull her collar a little bit, and it would ruffle kind of like she was a snake. I mean, it felt like the clothes came alive. Not only that, thanks to Alexander Byrne, then Anya would take it, be like, okay, I will top that, and I saw that, and I will make that happen every time, you know, like. Anyway,
it just means, you know, with something that was integral to me playing Emma, because it's something that actually I didn't have before her, and I've learned through the character and through my friendship with Autumn, actually. But I was never really that fussed with clothes, and now I love beauty everywhere. But Emma is somebody that spends the money to have all of these incredible clothes. And so when she's wearing them, she shows them off. So she has a coat with an incredible back. Like there's a stunning yellow coat that has like almost like a sunrise on the back of it. I just find myself delivering my lines over my shoulder, and Autumn would be like, yes, clothes acting. That is how you do it. And I'm like, oh.
Because they were, and you know, this is a testament to my whole team. Marie Slingen, who did hair and makeup, Alexander Byrne, who did costume design, and Cave Quinn, who did production design. The thing is, without everyone being on the same page, you have the risk of design being frivolous. But the design needs to be a storytelling tool. There's so many ways to do Jane Austen, but if you're going to do anything in the 19th century and you want to not dumb it down, you need all the tools to help. Like, this is her position in society, because it's a satire on the class system, besides being a love story and a story of friendship, you know. And so it's in order to not over explain in the script and put the burden on Eleanor Catton, our writer, to muck up the story with like over explaining. The costumes serve a purpose, the locations, the hair, how much attention she gives to her hair in the morning, how different that is when she's losing her mind, realizing she's in love, the curls are unfolding, you know. All of these everyone was working together rather than being at war. Like, it's not a show off war on my projects. It's like Annie walks in and everyone is there, and it's the last puzzle in the piece, which I've said many times because it's so true. And the whole team then adjusts to what she's doing as an actor. So that was like a constant improv process with design and character and story and actors.
Miss Fairfax. Oh, what a pity you did not bring your music.
I hope I can recollect the tune.
Nobody in the world plays like you.
Anya, have you ever seen anyone do anything like this before on any set that you've been on? I mean, this sounds unusual even to me. And I've talked to a lot of directors in my time.
No, but I feel so lucky to be able to watch such incredible artists such as Autumn, because I'm luckily, I think one of the things I like the most about myself is that I'm not rigid. And so I love seeing other people's passions, and I love adjusting to their passions and going, this is how you do something. And there is a very, like, if you are making an Autumn de Wilde film, you will be loved, you will be supported, everything around you will be detailed to the nth degree. You can ask her about anything and she'll just get so excited, and suddenly you're having like this incredible conversation, and it's thrilling and it's fun, but you will never feel like you are an accessory. You are a part of it with her. And
because there's such great risk for everything to become bullshit without that.
But it's, you know, and Autumn also loves filmmaking, and that's beautiful to be around, you know, like, you know, you got a good take because you hear her from the back and she's laughing and you're just like, yes, I made Autumn laugh.
Here's the thing, is that Emma is the mistake that could be easily made about making Emma is thinking that it's just about Emma and being like, well, let's not distract from the story. Eleanor Catton's script was so amazing, and then Eleanor and I figured out what not what they weren't saying. Then the actors added in those clues. It was like a mystery. They're like, I gave a secret look to so and so. You know, we were all working together to help all the little love mysteries unfold, you know, and that way it could feel like a high school movie, which, you know, in high school, you're like, why did she look at me that way? And for 4 days, you're like the drama, right? You know, and I like, it needed, otherwise, really honestly, they don't have any real problems when you look at the world, especially today, you know. But this is why we love high school movies, is because they're like The Office, a small town. You know, Anya is able to make Emma's problems life or death, so the audience is included in that.
So all the work that you've done over the years seems to have prepared you in an interesting way for this. I mean, it's amazing that this is your first feature film. It's sort of astonishing. But part of it was working with musicians. Could you explain how that helped to inform what you did here?
I was always a storyteller. I always tried to make my photos look like scenes from movies, you know, and part of that was to help musicians that didn't love the process of being photographed, you know, it was, if we're all playing pretend like kids do, then you have this memory of the photo shoot, you know, like, you know, it ideally makes you wish you were there. I look at a photo of David Bowie and I wish I was at that photo shoot, right? You know, so that to me was more important than like hiding, refining, finishing. So I think accidentally I helped become a character creator for a lot of musicians. And there's a lot of different ways people can be rock and roll. And I think that one of the things when I went into this is I wanted to make sure my actors seemed like they were in a band, you know, because I feel like actors have been, I mean, that's how it used to be in like my favorite years of Hollywood, you know, and then somehow they became like, they started modeling suits and clothes in editorials instead of being a part of this like rock and roll band of wild minds, right? So I think that really helped. I think that always helps for me to get the trust of each person, that I'm seeing what their identity is and how maybe they could grow within this part, or bring in something, you know, like, you know, things I had seen Anya do in other roles, like that could work here. It's like working with, you know, I knew what Anya's other records were like, and I'm like, okay, let's take that and let's go up to here.
So Anya, were you and Johnny Flynn in a band together?
I think all of us were in a band together, to be
you
honest.
know, it felt like that. Yeah.
It really did feel like that. And we did write songs. Like we did, you know, it was kind of like Austen's summer camp. We all liked each other so much. And Autumn really has a skill for that. She has a skill for putting people together. And the first time that all of us, the whole cast, was together, everyone was just like, where have you been all my life? And I saw you in a dream. And oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. And still, I mean, it's a testament to the fact that Autumn put us all together. The Emma WhatsApp group is still the first thing that goes off if there's been like a disaster in the world.
Yeah.
If something's gone down, or if there's something funny to report, or there's any piece of news, it's still the Emma WhatsApp group. If I wake up in the morning and there are like 57 messages, I'm like, oh, okay.
I think too,
people, you know, have been on the group.
I think too, like, you know, when I'm working with like, you know, a musician, a songwriter, I have so much respect for what they've built, and I'm of service to them, right? And so I like being the leader and being of service. So and I think that all that training of having to retranslate my ideas. Oh, okay. Oh, you need this, you know, and I think that really helped. And I also went to drama school, so I learned all the systems of acting that anyone is using, and that helps to. I'm definitely like the captain of the ship, but I can speak in many languages as far as process, and I think that comes from respecting the sensitive artists that I shot as musicians, you know.
So thank you guys. This was really great. It was a pleasure, and it was fun to see you two together. I'm glad we did it this way.
I'm sorry. I'm so
you did a good job of wrangling us. It is like herding cats. So thank you very much.
I realize also we didn't answer your question about the non-speaking moments, but I just to add,
you go.
I'm just gonna say that, again, a testament to Anya's ability is that I knew that the edit was going to be a challenge. Like, you know, when you have someone who has somewhat of a villain, you don't want to wear out the audience either. It's not really about likability. So what Anya did was gave me like, okay, we get the main take. Now, can you do it like you meant it? Now do it like you didn't mean it. Now do it like you don't care if you meant it. You know, like, so she gave me like a lot of the key.
I was in heaven. It was so much
gave
fun.
me like, 7 versions of what you might think and Emma meant to do, and then and Johnny did that, and Mia Goth did that. It really helped in the edit
because they took off with it. They kept doing it.
Yeah, it also reminds everyone, someone might be being an asshole because they have to go to the bathroom, or someone might be being an asshole because they thought you were being an asshole. So
all right. Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. I hope to meet you in person one day.
Very much.
It was
so.
very
Thank
fun.
you,
Thank
Anne.
you.